nice gesture to begin our debates here on News 12 Connecticut's Focus on Connecticut. This is Connecticut Vote 2014. If you've been watching the last few months, we've been doing debates for all the open seats here in southwestern Connecticut. Today we're going to talk to the two candidates for the 146th district, which covers parts of Stamford. And this is the seat that Gerald Fox is leaving open because he's moving on to other things. Let me introduce our guests to you. Kieran Ryan is the Republican, and Terry Adams is the Democrat. You saw them shake hands before. They have known each other for years because they both serve on the Board of Representatives. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've been out and about on the hustings, as they used to say. I think that's an archaic term now. What are would-be constituents telling you?
Well, I don't know if Terry has the same experience. That there's a variety of issues, but the number one theme that I'm getting feedback from as I talk to the voters is the difficulty with dealing with the cost of living in Stamford, in particular in Fairfield County, with the high cost of taxes and the high cost of living, and especially for seniors and the retirees, it's a bit of a struggle to stay in Stamford and in Fairfield County after having lived there for a generation and raising families there and now being retired. People are worried about whether they can stay. They want to stay, most of them, but they're feeling the pressure that they may not be able to stay due to the high cost of living. If I had to pick one issue that I hear over and over, that would probably be it. So.
Same experience for you?
Yeah, and mostly my experience is about jobs. A lot of people want jobs. A lot of people were displaced in the last few years, and looking for the job market to grow. And also, education is one of the concerns because Stamford, because of all the development that's been happening there, the population is growing, and so is the need for education facility. Stamford was able to purchase the Sacred Heart School to try to fulfill that, but that's one of the main things, and also tax relief because of the ECS dollars that Stamford get from Hartford. They think that if reform did on it, that Stamford could get more dollars back to the ECS dollars, and that way it will give a tax relief to the taxpayer, because right now whatever the budget is basically paid by the taxpayer. So we can get more money back from the state from our ECS dollars.
This is not a new,
right?
Yeah. This is no revelation. We hear this time and again on this program because this formula is complex, and no one seems to be happy with it.
Right.
But when you talk to your current representative up there, what does he tell you can be done to change that? Because every year they say they're going to change it, and it doesn't happen.
Well, most of you say all they can try to do is work on a different form and try to reformalize the way they do it, so Stamford can be more favored in reimbursement that we do get, because Stamford, Greenwich, and the Lower Fairfield town send more money up to the state than most of the community around, but we get less money back. Right. In that sense, it put more tax burden on the individual or the residential in the city of Stamford. And that way, if we can get the formula changed a little bit, then the tax burden would be a lot less on the resident in the city of Stamford, and that way you can get a tax relief.
Yeah, just to put this in perspective, in Stamford, I think the reimbursement from the state for the education cost sharing grant is $600 per student, and I think we're in the studio in Norwalk here today. I think Norwalk is getting $2,000 or $3,000. So it's not fair to the city of Stamford, who the formula is based on the value of the grand list, and Stamford does have a lot of valuable property, but Stamford is a diverse city, so it doesn't fit properly into the ECS formula, and therefore Stamford is consistently shortchanged with the ECS formula. And I think our state reps need to do a better job to remedy that unfairness. And you do hear them say it time and time again. It comes up almost every election, because I think there is a serious flaw in the formula when it comes to Stamford. So I would do everything that I could to try to remedy that fundamental unfairness. So
Sticking with the subject of education, what about early childhood education? Devote more funding to that?
I think that's a worthwhile effort, yeah. I think that, every child should have the availability or the opportunity to participate in these early childhood programs. I'm not sure how you fund that or the best way to go about providing the resources to implement something like that, but it's definitely something that we should be looking to do, because I think all the studies would show that the earlier you begin to educate the child, the better the chance they have going on for the rest of their lives. So I think it's something that we would both agree.
You've mentioned this on your website, that you're concerned about this.
Yes, the statistics have shown that the fastest you engage a kid, the better they're off when they really start going to first grade. So if you engage them from 3 to 5, when they get to first grade, they're that advanced. So instead of teaching them their colors and their numbers and alphabet, ABCs at first grade, they would already be that much advanced. So that would take all the way through life. That they would be that far ahead. So I think in putting pre-care focus on all the kids that want to participate or should participate, that should be a focus that we focus on throughout.
One of the hot button issues right now in the legislature and indeed across the nation is teacher and student evaluations, pressure put on local governments by the federal government, and within, pressure pushed back by the teachers' unions.
Right.
Parents aren't happy with this. Should there be this kind of intense testing and evaluating of all the participants?
Well, I think there should be some accountability with the teachers, but how they should go about it, I really don't have a good grasp on it. But I think, like any other job that you do in the whole state, that there's accountability. And then if a teacher is teaching in a way that is not reaching the student, then it should be evaluated. What do you need to do to reach your student? I mean, you just can't teach and it going over all the kids' heads and they're not engaged. If they're not engaged, then the teacher or the principal should find out what do we take to gauge these kids. If you engage them, then they're going to learn. But if the kids are not engaged, then they're not going to learn. So I think there should be some kind of evaluation, but what it should be, I don't know. But there should be some kind of reach out to do that. And maybe the teachers can bring in other scouts that can sit around and find out why the kids not engaged and have a team to focus on that. But I think that should be something that they're looking to.
When you're talking to would-be constituents, has this come up from perhaps teachers?
It occasionally comes up. My point of view on that would be that the local boards of education should have the most control when it comes to setting the standards and setting the curricula for our local student. I don't think that mandates from Washington or from Hartford or heavy-handed standards and are the best way to go. I would be more in favor of local control for our schools. And the problem with all this testing is that when it comes from Hartford or when it comes from Washington, D.C. in these national programs, teachers begin to lose perspective and they start to teach toward the students for taking the test rather than teaching the students the various subjects that they're in. So I think, of course, there's a place for testing and for accountability, but I think you could go too far to the extreme, and I think it's unfair to the teachers to take away that kind of local control from them. So whereas I think I think there's a role to play. I think that it's gone a little bit too far.
We appear to have gone too far in our budgeting process. We're facing a huge deficit. We have been. There's been a big effort for the last 4 years to try to balance that budget, but it's back again facing us. So where do you make the cuts if you're elected?
Well, I think the forecast going out the next couple of years is more billion-dollar deficits, $1.3 billion over the next 2 years, I believe. I think that it's tough because you have to find a way to find somewhere to cut. We just instituted the largest tax increase in the history of the state of Connecticut. So I don't think that raising taxes it would be a good idea. So it's tough. The revenue, most of the revenue goes to salary and benefits and benefit packages for state employees unions. So you could look there.
And they are tied up in contracts.
Right. But one good idea is that has been proposed might be to switch from defined benefit contribution to defined benefits packages. Switching to a 401k type of program, like has been done in the private sector, rather than a defined benefit program. That could save some money. There's a variety of ways to save some money through cost efficiencies and trying to look for some waste and some fraud and some abuse in a lot of these programs. So, but it's a very difficult situation that with the aging of the population is going to become more and more of a concern as we go down the road here. But
one of the challenges, and you know this as a candidate, when you talk to people out in the community, they tell you what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to go to Hartford and make cuts rather than increase.
Yeah, but I think under Dan Malloy, which came into office with a $3 billion deficit, under his guidance, for the first time in almost 20 years, we had a balanced budget. So I think under his leadership, I think we would definitely overcome whatever deficit there is. Because, I mean, even though he make hard choices, but he make hard choices for the future. Not necessarily the favorite choice, but if he got to make cuts, he would bring it to the representatives and then ask them just the direction that I would like to go, and we should take a vote on and come to consensus on what we think should be cut and what's not. But I think under his leadership, based on what he did on the last 4 years and the direction he have taken us, I think that he would have a very good grip on the direction we should go. And I think it'll be up to us to debate it and come to consensus on what we think should be cut and cut. But I think under his leadership, based on his past record, we would definitely get there.
Well, let me take us to transportation. You are right in the middle.
Yeah.
You've got 95, the Merritt Parkway,
Yeah.
you've got the second busiest train station on the Metro North line. After Grand Central, Stamford Transportation Hub is it.
Yeah.
No one seems to be happy with any of it.
No.
What do you propose to do about it?
Well, I propose to try to get funding for the infrastructure for all the congestion that we have there, the roads and intersection and bridges that have been neglected under the last administration, to try to improve with that, and then also get more fund for mass transit. Like you say, Sanford is one of the busiest train stations, is it? We get ready to have a whole rebuilding of that, and I think we need to fund that so that we can get more people to use mass transit and take more cars off the road. I think if we can come up with some kind of incentive program that maybe people that give up their cars, go on mass transit, they should get a discount on doing that. So I think trying to get more funds for infrastructure and then put more funds into mass transit, I think would be the way to go.
Yeah. Look, it takes longer now to get to Grand Central from Stamford than it did 100 years ago. It's incredible. The proper amount has not been invested over time to maintain the infrastructure, especially of the Metro North tracks and infrastructure. It's a huge issue for Stamford. Stamford depends on commuters, and there's a proposal now to radically redevelop the Stamford Transportation Center. I think there's some huge problems with that program. It's a Connecticut Department of Transportation initiative. It would impact parking. There's a 2-year waiting list for parking for the Stamford Commuter Garage now. And this plan would actually decrease the parking spots and move them further away from the tracks, which would continue to inconvenience Stamford's commuters. And I would do everything I can to switch that or to redesign that initiative in order to get the parking closer to the tracks and make that station more convenient for the commuters. That station exists to service the commuters who are going mainly to New York City and to other places beyond, and that should be the focus of that transportation system, not some other redevelopment that is the state of Connecticut is seeking to benefit there. So that's a particular issue to our district that, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from when I go out and interact with the voters, particularly on that issue when it comes to transportation. It's a regional issue, of course, but it's also an issue that's very particular to our district, even on the Stamford Board of Representatives. So that would be.
Is this a done deal?
It's. I don't think it is.
No.
It's interesting the way the deal developed. It kind of developed in secret, and they've announced some initial plan, but it hasn't been finalized, and nobody quite really knows how it's going to be finalized and what role the City of Stamford and the Board of Representatives has in it. It's a very murky process, and you know, I think that we've been disappointed with the way it's unfolded. I know I have. I'm sure Terry
You
has.
feel you have no leverage? That the state is just going to steamroller this thing through?
Well, the debate we've been having at the local level is that we think the state should have the right to build a garage, but for as other components, for as the residential component and the hotel component, that should all come to the Board of Reps. The Board of Reps and the zoning board and apply it to that project, is just like to do any other project in the city of Stamford. So I think convincing the state that you govern the parking because that's your land, but any other stuff that goes on it, for as a hotel, for as a retail, for as a resident apartment, it should come before the city of Stamford zoning board and planning board like any other developer do. And that's the main problem we have. For as the parking going, it's a little further down because they have to basically demolish the one that existed, but they got to build another one first. And when I look at the design, the commuters would not have to any inconvenience, because they're going to actually build a bridge that goes to the new facility, that the platform actually goes to the new facility, and you'll be able to come out of the parking garage and come right to the track. And then when they build a new one, that would be the same thing. And also right near to that, Bill and T, the developers that build their property, called Gateway, they build another 2,000 parking space that when you come out of their building would be right on the platform. So in either way, anyhow, we losing space, but we gaining space at the same time. But I think if it's done in the right way and bring everybody concerned in the community what they're looking for and try to satisfy most of that, I think it'll be a good development. But it need to come in front of the zoning board and the planning board, the city of Stamford, for whatever housing, hotel, retail spaces that the state plan on implementing there. And I can understand there, from a business point of view, the state is just going to put up X amount of dollars, and they're going to let the developer put up X amount of dollars. That's where the taxpayers don't have to pay for it. So I think this could work good, but it need to come to consensus on the way that we do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the state is taking the position, Department of Transportation is taking the position that it doesn't need the approvals from the Stamford zoning and planning boards, and I think that's a mistake. I think they do need that approval according to the way I read the case law and the way that the Supreme Court.
So should this end up in the courts then? Should Stamford take a stand?
I believe it should, yes. I think the zoning board should take a stand, and ultimately I think the administration, the city administration, the mayor should take a stand on this, yes. I think they should.
You mentioned at the outset that you talk to constituents who are elderly, concerned about being able to stay in Stamford. One of the major concerns for the elderly is health care, and Connecticut is now, we've embraced the new health care system. Are you on board with it?
No, not particularly, no. I would not have, had I had the opportunity, I would not have voted for a national health care, Obamacare as it's called. But you know, I do think that we need significant reforms when it comes to getting people covered who aren't are not covered now. Individuals with pre-existing conditions, individuals who may be self-employed. It's very difficult. I was self-employed. I buy my own health insurance, and what I had before was a catastrophic policy. I was insured for a cost above, I had a high deductible, $5,000 deductible, and if I went to the doctor for a $100 visit, that would come out of my own pocket, but if I had some kind of catastrophic loss, I would be covered. And this made the plan very affordable, and I can't buy that type of plan anymore. I have several choices, but I'm being forced almost to purchase coverage that I don't necessarily want. And I don't think that, I think there should be more of a market-based solution to healthcare rather than this kind of heavy-handed mandates from a centralized government. So,
are people telling you that they're happy with this new healthcare plan?
Yeah, the people that really need it and can't afford to buy outside policy, they really love it because some of them for the first time, they do have health care now, and especially with a lot of jobs, they're paying you minimum wages and with no health care, no sick days. So I think this is great for everybody because, bottom line, if you look at it, the state wind up paying for it anyhow. So if you got somebody that don't have health care, wind up at the hospital in the emergency room, the state is reimbursing the hospital. So why not catch some of this sickness or some of these high blood pressure, sugar, whatever it is, beforehand at a lesser cost than having them wind up at the hospital, an emergency room 3 or 4 times a night. That the hospital really reimburses the state. So I think if you're doing prevention, catching it up front, having these people with regular doctors visit, I think cost efficiently is better. I know everybody say, well, I can buy insurance and I can do this, but what about the people that can't afford insurance? What about the people that's making minimum wages and they just barely paying the bills and putting food on the table? What do? So I think this here which is the majority of the people. You figure the people working in the hotel, the landscaping, the brick mason, the construction worker that never worked 12 months a year, just give them an avenue instead of waiting till something really go bad that they wind up in hospital. They can now go into optimal care, sign up, get a regular doctor, get regular visit, get regular checked up, and it doesn't really cost the state that much. This person wind up at the emergency room 4 or 5 times a year. State still don't have to pay for it, so why not pay for it up front? So I think it's a better way to go.
Go ahead.
No, I would say that I don't think that the system that we ultimately have now was the system that was represented during the process of trying to sell it to the people. We were told that you would be able to keep your doctor and the plans would become more affordable. Neither of those things turned out to be true. A lot of people cannot keep the doctor or keep the plan that they had if they were satisfied with it. And a lot of people are finding that their costs, their premiums are skyrocketing. So 2 of the primary promises of the healthcare system, I don't think were fulfilled, so I would have voted against it. So
you said, reminded me of the old Groucho Marx show. You bet your life. So you would say the secret word, and the bird would come down with the word. You said minimum wage,
yes,
which was a big thing in Connecticut. We led the nation this last year by raising it to the highest it is anywhere. Would you be in favor of continuing to do that as the cost of living goes up?
Yes, I think it need to because if you look at the whole economy, everything is going up. So why not minimum wages? Your light, your gas, even for them just reading your meter, they want $25. So if you got somebody making minimum wages, just to tell them what their bill is going to be, cost you $25, and then they got transportation costs on that. So I think minimum wages do need to go up because I would like to see somebody that say minimum wages shouldn't go up, but I would like to see them live on the minimum wages with the same household bill that we all have. So I think I would definitely support that.
I don't think I wouldn't support increasing the minimum wage. I think Connecticut can do better than that. I think that especially in the depths of a recession, it's not a good idea to make businesses to make regulations that are more burdensome for businesses to grow and to prosper. maybe maybe in times of when we have times of abundance or when we have a better economy, we can start talking about these things. But for now, I think Connecticut needs to be a more competitive business environment. Connecticut is struggling. I mean, when you look at the surrounding states in New England, Connecticut is lagging behind in terms of growth, and I think that's because of a lot of onerous regulations have been placed on businesses, from the minimum wage to paid sick leave to higher costs of electricity. Connecticut has some of the highest utility bills in the nation. So I don't think it's a good idea, especially in the depths of a recession where many other states are turning the corner on the Great Recession. Connecticut is lagging seriously behind, and I don't think the time is right for these type of regulations.
I've got less than a minute for each of you to answer this one. If you get elected, and whether it's Foley or Malloy, you're sitting in the governor's office, one-on-one, what would be the one thing you'd raise with the governor?
To raise with the governor, I would be the transportation center in Stamford to make sure that project is. It's so important to our district and to Stamford that development be done properly, and if that isn't done correctly, it could create a lasting damage for Stamford and for the region in particular. So I would, Governor Malloy is from Stamford. I know Governor Malloy. I grew up with his family. I'm good friends with a lot of Malloys, and so I would be able. He would understand. He's from Stamford. We would be able to work together to implement a plan that's right for that transportation system, and I'm confident we could get there. So.
I'm going to elevate myself to the governor's position. Mr. Adams, congratulations on your election. We have a minute. What would you like to see done?
Well, I think mine would be jobs. I would like to, under Governor Malloy, would be with the 60,000 jobs that he have created since he's been in office, to continue to work with small business who have recordedly been the people that grow most jobs. So work with these small businesses, try to give them loans or whatever they need to that they can hire more people and get more people working in Connecticut. So I think that would be the number one thing. The more people we can get on working, the more taxes that we can get paid, the more we can bring down the deficit. So I think jobs would be my number one thing for the government to say, let's see what we can do to increase jobs in the whole state of Connecticut.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we got a pretty good idea of where you stand on the issues. One of you will be back here again. I guess we'll be talking about more. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us as well. By the way, a reminder, all of these debates are available on Channel 612, anytime, on demand, for free, also on our website, news12.com.